Every man with a well-developed chest does these 5 exercises, and you should too. A well-developed chest is the visual center of any masculine physique. It's the first thing that catches attention in a t-shirt, defines posture, and conveys an impression of strength even when standing still. But the reality is that most guys get stuck with the same mediocre look for years, and the main problem isn't even exercise execution, but rather the choice of exercises themselves. Building a chest workout isn't just about putting together the most popular movements for this muscle group. The pectoral has fibers running in different directions, portions that respond to specific angles, and if you don't combine exercises that complement each other, something will always be missing. Either the upper chest stays underdeveloped, or you lack that defined lower line, or there's simply no volume. That's why today, you're going to see the 5 exercises that men with big chests do, and the science behind this choice, explaining why you should do the same. Before we start, please tell us in the comments your name and the city you're watching our content from. We'd love to know. Exercise number 5, Incline Dumbbell Bench Press. The Incline Dumbbell Bench Press opens our sequence for a very clear anatomical reason. The pectoralis major has fibers that originate at different points and run in various directions, creating different muscular portions. The clavicular portion, also known as the upper chest, is admittedly the most difficult to develop and responsible for that look of a chest that's full all the way up, separating a mediocre physique from a truly impressive one. Starting the workout with this movement isn't a coincidence, it's strategy. When you've just arrived at the gym, your energy levels are at maximum, your neural recruitment capacity is at 100%, and your concentration is total. This is exactly when you should attack the most stubborn portion of the pectoral. The main benefits of this exercise include priority development of the upper fibers, correction of asymmetries between the sides of the body, since each arm works independently, and superior range of motion compared to the barbell, allowing for deeper stretching in the eccentric phase and more complete contraction at the top of the movement. The incline dumbbell bench press works mainly the pectoralis major in its clavicular portion, but also intensely recruits the anterior deltoid and triceps as synergists, besides requiring great activation of the core and scapular stabilizer muscles. To execute correctly, adjust the bench between 30 and 45 degrees of inclination. Grab the dumbbells and sit down with them resting on your thighs. Use the impulse from your legs to bring the weights to the starting position, keeping your elbows slightly below shoulder level. Before starting the movement, retract your scapulae by pulling your shoulders back and down, as if you wanted to bring your shoulder blades closer together. This scapular retraction is fundamental to protect the shoulder joint and maximize pectoral activation. Lower the dumbbells in a controlled manner until you feel a good stretch in the pectoral, keeping your elbows at approximately 45 degrees relative to your torso. Avoid opening your elbows too wide to the perpendicular, as this unnecessarily overloads the shoulders. On the way up, press the dumbbells as if you're trying to bring your hands together at the top, contracting the pectoral to the maximum. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, especially controlling the eccentric phase for approximately 3 seconds. The main errors to avoid are using excessive inclination on the bench above 50 degrees, transforming the exercise into a shoulder press, losing scapular retraction during execution, letting the shoulders roll forward, lowering with excessive speed, losing control of the movement, and completely locking out the elbows at the top, taking tension off the muscle. Now let's move to the movement that perfectly complements the heavy work you just did. Exercise number 4, low cable crossover. Maintaining focus on the upper portion of the pectoral isn't obsession, it's strategic intelligence. The low cable crossover is the second exercise precisely to continue the stimulus on the clavicular fibers while you still have quality energy. What makes this movement particularly valuable is its ability to maintain constant tension throughout the entire arc of movement. While in dumbbell bench press, the tension decreases at the top when the weights are almost vertical over your shoulders, the pulley maintains resistance from start to finish, especially at the peak contraction when you cross your hands in front of your chest. This is exactly the point where the upper fibers of the pectoral reach maximum shortening. The movement from bottom to top perfectly replicates the anatomical function of the upper fibers, combining horizontal adduction with shoulder flexion. The benefits include continuous tension that maximizes time under muscular tension, intense pump by maintaining blood flow, possibility of working each side independently correcting asymmetries, and overload at maximum contraction, something that free weights simply cannot offer. This exercise attacks mainly the pectoralis major in the clavicular portion, with participation of the anterior deltoid and core activation for trunk stabilization. To execute, position yourself in the center of the pulley apparatus with the pulleys adjusted at the lowest possible height. Hold the handles with palms facing up and take a step forward to create tension in the cables. Lean your torso slightly forward, keeping your core contracted and legs in a comfortable spread position for stability. Start the movement bringing your hands from bottom to top in an ascending arc, as if you were hugging someone, crossing your hands at chin, height, or slightly above. The secret is to keep your elbows slightly bent throughout the entire movement, never locking completely or bending too much. At the maximum point of contraction, pause for 1 second, voluntarily contracting the pectoral before returning in a controlled manner. A detail that many people don't know is that you can alternate which hand crosses on top each repetition to ensure symmetrical stimulus. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, focusing on mind-muscle connection and total control of the cable. The main errors to avoid are using excessive weight that forces you to lean too much forward, transforming it into a pulling movement, completely straightening your arms, taking tension off the pectoral, and overloading the elbows, doing the movement too fast, losing the controlled eccentric phase, and not crossing your hands sufficiently in front, failing to work the peak contraction. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Exercise number 3, high cable crossover. Here's the beauty of intelligent planning. You're already at the pulleys, so instead of dropping everything and going to look for another crowded piece of equipment, you simply raise the pulleys and attack a completely different region of the pectoral. Having to get the pulley twice in crowded gyms is no easy task, so taking advantage of occupying the apparatus to work another angle is pure efficiency. Now, the force vector changes radically. Coming from top to bottom, this movement attacks primarily the lower and sternal fibers of the pectoral, those responsible for the sharp separation line between the pectoral and abdomen. While in the first 2 exercises, you built the upper part, now you define the lower part, creating that 3-dimensional look. The high crossover also emphasizes complete adduction, bringing the arms fully in front of the body, the primary function of the pectoral that's frequently neglected in traditional bench presses, where the movement ends with arms vertical. The main benefits are development of the lower and medial fibers, definition of the lower line of the pectoral, intense adduction work that recruits the pectoral in a unique way, and again, that constant tension characteristic of cables. This exercise works mainly the pectoralis major in the sternal and abdominal portions, with help from the anterior deltoid and triceps, besides requiring core stabilization. To execute correctly, adjust the pulleys to the highest position of the apparatus and hold the handles with palms facing down. Position yourself in the center with one foot in front of the other for better stability and lean your torso slightly forward. Keep your elbows slightly bent and start the movement bringing your hands from top to bottom in a descending arc, as if you were hugging someone around the waist. Your hands should meet at belly button height or slightly below, crossing slightly one over the other to ensure maximum contraction. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel an intense contraction in the lower part of the pectoral, almost where it connects with the sternum. Maintain the same logic of alternating which hand crosses on top. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions with total focus on contraction of the lower part. The main errors to avoid are using excessive load that forces you to use body weight to pull the cables, keeping your arms totally straight, creating unfavorable leverage and stress on the elbows, making the movement too short, not crossing your hands sufficiently, and going up too fast, losing control in the eccentric phase, which is where much of the hypertrophic stimulus happens. Exercise number 2, Flat Smith Machine Bench Press. We've reached the 4th exercise and now the focus changes. While in the crossovers you worked with constant tension and pump, in the Smith machine you return to heavy load but with a crucial advantage, the fixed trajectory of the bar. The guided bar completely eliminates the need for lateral stabilization, allowing you to concentrate 100% of your neural energy on pectoral contraction. This has 2 important practical consequences. First, you can use more load safely since you don't need to worry about balancing the bar. Second, you can do intensity techniques like forced repetitions or negatives without needing a training partner, simply locking the bar on the safety hooks. The fixed trajectory also allows a very interesting positioning adjustment. You can position your body so the bar descends closer to the lower part of the pectoral, emphasizing the sternal fibers even more, something harder to control with free bar. The main benefits are the possibility of using elevated loads with less risk, almost total isolation of the pectoral, without spending energy on stabilization, ease of doing advanced intensity techniques, and precise control of the bar's descent point. This exercise works intensely the pectoralis major throughout its extension, with emphasis on the sternal portion, besides the triceps and anterior deltoid as auxiliaries. To execute, lie down on the bench centered under the Smith bar. Position your hands with an opening slightly beyond shoulder width, and before unlocking the bar, do scapular retraction, pulling your shoulders back and down. This position must be maintained throughout the entire set. Unlock the bar and descend in a controlled manner until lightly touching the pectoral, keeping your elbows at approximately 45 degrees. The contact point should be at nipple line or slightly below, not at the neck. Press the bar upward in a straight line until almost complete extension of the elbows, without locking totally to maintain constant tension. A valuable tip is you can slightly incline the bench in negative decline of about 10 to 15 degrees to emphasize the lower part of the pectoral even more. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions with focus on progressively heavier loads. The main errors to avoid are trusting the machine too much and losing technique using excessive load, letting your shoulders rise and roll forward, losing scapular retraction, making the bar descend too close to the neck, overloading the shoulders, and bouncing the bar on your chest using momentum instead of muscular control. Exercise number 1. Flat pec deck machine. To finish, nothing better than an exercise that completely isolates the pectoral, eliminating any significant participation of triceps or deltoids. After 4 compound exercises where auxiliary muscles work together, the pec deck machine allows you to exhaust the last reserves of the pectoral with surgical precision. The machine completely stabilizes the movement, allowing you to focus 100% on deep stretching and maximum contraction, precisely the 2 phases that generate the greatest hypertrophic stimulus. What makes this exercise perfect for finishing the workout is the intense stretching it provides to the pectoral fibers. After all the load from previous exercises, finishing with a movement that places the muscle in maximum stretch under tension creates a unique stimulus for growth. Studies demonstrate that the eccentric phase and work at elongated muscle lengths are responsible for a large part of hypertrophy, and the pec deck machine maximizes exactly that. The main benefits include total isolation of the pectoral without premature fatigue of auxiliary muscles, extreme stretching of muscle fibers, safety to train to failure without risk of accidents, and devastating final pump that leaves the pectoral completely congested. This exercise works the pectoralis major throughout its extension with emphasis on the central fibers, with minimal participation of other muscle groups. To execute, adjust the bench and arm supports so that when you sit and hold the handles, your arms are open in line with the middle of the pectoral. Many machines have a pedal that allows you to bring the handles forward, facilitating the initial grip. Sit with your back well supported on the backrest. Slightly retract your scapulae and keep your feet firm on the floor. With your elbows slightly bent, open your arms in a controlled manner until you feel a deep stretch in the pectoral, but never force beyond the point of discomfort. On the return, contract the pectoral, bringing the handles forward until they almost touch, pausing for 1 second at the peak of contraction. The secret is to resist the weight on the return, not simply letting your arms open. The eccentric phase should last at least 3 seconds. The main errors to avoid are opening your arms excessively, placing dangerous stress on the shoulders, using weight that forces you to make abrupt movements or lose control, not keeping your elbows slightly bent, completely locking your arms, and doing fast repetitions without control of the eccentric phase, losing half the benefit of the exercise. Execute 3 to 4 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, focusing on mind-muscle connection and squeezing the pectoral to the maximum. As for contraindications, people with shoulder injuries, especially in the rotator cuff, should avoid or drastically reduce the amplitude of stretching, and those with a history of shoulder dislocation need extra care in the maximum opening phase. Bonus exercise: decline push-up. Now that you know the 5 fundamental exercises to build a complete chest, I'm going to share a bonus movement that very few people do, but that can be decisive if you feel your upper chest refuses to respond to stimuli. The decline push-up is an extremely underestimated bodyweight exercise that attacks the clavicular portion with surprising intensity. The main benefit of this movement is in the angle it creates. When you elevate your feet on a bench or step placing your body in decline, the distribution of body weight changes, and a much larger percentage of your mass falls on the upper part of the pectoral, exactly as would happen in an incline bench press but using only your own body. This makes the decline push-up an exceptional alternative for days when you can't go to the gym but don't want to leave the muscle without stimuli, or to add extra volume to the upper chest without overloading the joints with more external weight. You might even be surprised by the pump it provides. This exercise works mainly the pectoralis major in the clavicular portion, the anterior deltoids, the triceps, and requires great core activation to keep the body stable in the inclined position. To execute correctly, place your feet on a bench, box, or step with height between 12 and 24 inches. The higher the elevation, the greater the emphasis on the upper chest, but also the greater the difficulty. Position your hands on the floor with opening slightly beyond shoulder width, keeping your body completely straight from feet to head like a plank. Descend in a controlled manner, bending your elbows until your chest almost touches the floor, keeping your elbows at approximately 45 degrees relative to your torso. On the way up, press the floor with full force, contracting the pectoral to the maximum. Remember that keeping your core contracted throughout the movement is fundamental to prevent your hips from sagging and breaking the line of your body. A valuable tip is that you can adjust the difficulty simply by changing the height of your feet. Start with smaller elevations and progress gradually as you gain strength. The main errors to avoid are letting your hips sag, creating a curve in the lower back that overloads the spine, opening your elbows excessively, placing unnecessary stress on the shoulders, doing the movement too fast, losing control, especially on the descent, and not maintaining complete amplitude, descending only partially. Execute 3 to 4 sets, taking to the maximum number of repetitions possible with perfect technique, and when you can do more than 20 repetitions easily, increase the height of your feet or add weight on your back using a backpack. As for contraindications, people with high blood pressure should be careful because the inverted position increases blood pressure in the head. Those with shoulder problems should evaluate if they can maintain amplitude without pain, and individuals with weak core should first strengthen the abdominal region to avoid compensations in the lower back. If you enjoyed this and want to also discover a complete back workout using science as an ally, we've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing each of them better. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching until here, and may God bless you, my friend.